Maths until the age of 18. The Prime Minister launches a review of how the subject is taught, but school leaders say his plan is vague and poorly thought out.
The traffic wars that could be coming to a road near you. Why not everyone is on board with plans to get vehicles off our streets.
Agony for Arsenal and Arteta, who blow a 2-goal lead again. Is the pressure of the Premier League title race taking its toll?
Good morning. Bonadar from a misty Brecon Beacons National Park that from today will have a new ancient Welsh name, Banai Brwcheiniog.
Starting with the fact that the Scottish National Party has denied it's facing financial problems following reports in a Sunday newspaper of claims by the SNP's treasurer that there are difficulties balancing the books. The SNP told the BBC selective quotes had been taken out of context, and the party says the finances are in balance. Hundreds of Amazon workers in Coventry have begun a 3-day strike in a dispute over pay. 600 members of the GMB union walked out and are calling for a pay rise from £10.50 to £15 an hour. Amazon doesn't recognise the union and said only a tiny proportion of its workforce was involved in the dispute. More strike action is due to take place later this week. The British Horse Racing Authority says it robustly condemns what it calls the reckless protests at yesterday's Grand National. 118 people were arrested after animal rights activists delayed the start of the race. In a statement, the BHA also said it would analyse all the races in the 3-day Aintree Festival to try to understand why 3 horses died.
Here, an important story this morning that air pollution causes harm to people at all stages of life, including reducing sperm count and damaging fetal growth, that's according to new research.
A review of key evidence on the effects of pollution, drawing from more than 35,000 studies in the last 10 years, has detailed the ways it causes harm from pre-birth all the way to old age.
Here, Human Rights Watch says control of the compensation scheme for victims of the Windrush scandal should be taken away from the Home Office and given to an independent body. The group has warned that many people are facing unreasonable demands as part of attempts to access money. The Home Office said it was committed to righting the wrongs of Windrush.
Millions of people are now eligible for the spring COVID-19 booster, with appointments being made available from today. They're being offered to people aged 75 and over, those with a weakened immune system and care home residents. Invitations are being sent via the NHS app, by text or by letter. You might know it as the Brecon Beacons National Park, but not anymore, because the park's bosses have announced it's only going to use its Welsh name in future.
John Maguire is there on the ground for us this morning and tell us what it's going to be known as in future. Morning, John.
Yeah, morning to the both of you. A beautiful day here in what was the Brecon Beacons, but as you say, will now be known as Banai Brwcheiniog. It's an old Welsh name, as you say, based on words that mean the peaks of King Brecon, a 5th century king that ruled over this land all those centuries ago. Big challenges too. What the National Park's also doing is launching a big plan to tell us what it's going to do here over the next years, over the next few years certainly, but indeed over the next generations to come. Just take a look around. We've got a bit more visibility for you than we had earlier on in the programme, but you can see the footpaths, you can see the bracken. Look here with this bale is bracken that's been cut obviously by a farmer. This will be used for animal bedding. It gives you an idea then of the multi-usage really of the national park here. So you've got towns, you've got villages, you've got the uplands, you've also got lots and lots swathes of agricultural land. Plus, on top of that, it's a tourism hotspot. 4 million people visit here every year. So it's a big challenge to try and balance what man wants to do and what the natural environment here wants to do, to try and create a balance. That's the big phrase that you hear a lot here with this new draft plan that's going to be put into place. Ambitious targets, 1 million trees, thousands of hectares of new peatland to absorb carbon, cleaner rivers, all sorts of different targets, a reintroduction of several species and the reversal of the decline of species, the kind of thing that will mean that, as I say, the natural world and the human world will be in balance for those years to come.
At the morning's papers this Monday, shall we, in the Times, they're leading with the remarks to be made by the Prime Minister in a speech today, where he will say that an anti-maths mindset is damaging the UK economy.
The Guardian reports that 250,000 children with mental health problems in Britain have been denied help by the NHS as it struggles to cope with a drastic rise in cases.
The Daily Telegraph today is looking at what it says is growing pressure on Nicola Sturgeon to quit the Scottish National Party over financial scandals.
And the Daily Mirror leads on an investigation it conducted that found that almost half of the 16 shops tested in Manchester sold nicotine vapes to a girl aged 13, which is, of course, illegal.
Front pages this Monday, let's find out. The Express carries that warning that nurses' strikes could last until Christmas, all year, it says. But the Eye says the government is hopeful that fractures among unions could spoil any proposed industrial action. The Metro hears that the NHS is spending £1 million a week drafting in private ambulances to cover the gaps when their own fleet of emergency vehicles is overstretched. The Guardian focuses on another part of the health service under strain, reporting 250,000 children have missed out on access to mental health treatment. The Telegraph today says there is growing pressure on Nicola Sturgeon to quit the SNP amid fears over its finances, which the party insists are in order. The Times leads with a speech by the Prime Minister where he'll call for changes to make sure all adults learn at least basic maths. The Mirror claims an exclusive with an investigation which has found a high proportion of shops are selling nicotine vapes to underage children. The Mail has seen figures suggesting that 6,500 sexual assaults are committed in the country's hospitals each week. According to the FT, the Bank of England may revamp its deposit guarantee scheme, which protects people's savings. The Sun reports on the youngest owner of a Grand National winner who has thanked the horse that made him rich. And the Star says it's going to be 20 degrees Celsius. I can tell you that's 68 Fahrenheit in old money in parts of the country very soon. Want to see more on that? Any of the front pages again, or indeed read the stories, then do scan the QR code on your screen.